This is an 83 Honda XR200 I'm going to be restoring. It has an engine swap in it. I'm not sure what it was swapped to. It's got a lot of parts on it that were never meant to go on this bike. This exhaust here, it fits, but it's kind of, you know, it's jerry-rigged together. The tip was not meant to go on this bike at all. The electrical out of this engine here, a lot of it's ripped out. A lot of it's for lights, because again, this engine came out of a different bike. I still have the run switch. That'll need to be repainted and stuff so it looks nice. I'm gonna need new handles. Everything's gonna need paint. I'm gonna need a new vinyl for the seat. I'm going to clean up as much as I can. So I'm gonna cut this off, paint and get rid of all the, hopefully I can get rid of the rust on the exhaust. If I can't, I'll just paint it, and when it does end up rusting through, I'll go from there. But I do want it to look nice for now. The engine, I'm not sure. I may end up painting the engine. I may not paint the engine. I'm not sure yet. I'd like to, because it would make it look really nice. On this front support here, it's only being held in by one bolt. I don't like that. So I'm going to extend this pipe just a little bit and change the angle just a little bit so it runs in really nicely. And that way I can get the 3 bolts in. I may use a square tube and form that in and weld that off and bolt it this way, and then run the bolts this way. Just so the engine's really secure in there. Have a couple dents to fix. This is kind of rusted out. So the main part of the bike's here, and I know the engine runs. I probably will end up doing a carburetor clean on it anyway. I'm gonna start, I think, taking off the gas tank, the seat, and then kind of getting in here to the carburetor area, start taking off the carburetor, cleaning up the carburetor, seeing if I need to actually buy the rebuild kit for that. I'm hoping I don't. As long as the gaskets are good in there, I'll be okay. If not, I will need to buy a rebuild kit for that. I don't know, I may be able to get away with not doing it. I'm gonna tear down the carb here and see what I'm working with. Alright, the carburetor's rebuilt. I think I got it without having to buy the rebuild kit. And now I'm just going to put it back on the bike. I'm going to start off by extending this front mount here, making sure that the engine's bolted in good. I noticed that there's a bolt missing off of the engine mount back there, and there's a good size chunk out of the block there as well. So I'm going to drop the whole engine out. Well, first I'm going to get some measurements here, and then I'm going to drop the whole engine out, do some work on the engine and this front bar. Getting the engine ready to go back into the bike. Needs to be cleaned and painted. I'm going to pull off the starter relay, the carburetor, plug some of the holes that I don't want any water to get in, and then I think I'm going to take it over to the pressure washer and clean it up. Put a couple pieces of just cloth in the intake port and the vacuum port. I I need to put a little bit in the exhaust port here. And then I'll be able to take the pressure washer out and clean it all up. I'm gonna hit this with some Simple Green first, just to kind of loosen up the grease. I found this stuff works really, really good. And then I'll bring the pressure washer in. Got the engine cleaned up as best as I'm going to. It's not perfect, and you know, that's okay for me. I'm just trying to make it look a little nicer. As long as the side covers are good, I'll be happy, because that's what you're really gonna see. This is all gonna get dirty again very quickly. I'm just gonna use some Rust-Oleum engine enamel. Pretty good. I'm actually very happy with the way that it did end up turning out after it dried off. In order to mount this engine on here, they had to drop it down a couple inches because it's so tall. So I'm going to change the engine mount a little bit. The engine mount sets about here. So what I need to do is just extend this down. So I'm going to cut this in half and then weld the two ends together, because I don't have any square pipe that'll fit in here. So I'm going to make a little bit of my own. That's going to go right here, and it's going to bring it down. I will need to put my engine back in so that I can mock this up. It's got 4 mounts total, and I can hang the engine on just the back 3, and it'll be fine just sitting there, so I can, you know, mark up, make sure that everything's going in the correct places. Got my front engine mount built. It's painted and it's drying right now. I'm going to start disassembling the rest of the bike and get that ready to be painted. Alright, so I got the frame all hung up now. I'm going to go through and clean it and sand it, get it ready for paint. Okay, now I've got it all sanded down. It's not a perfect sand by any means, just trying to get it to a state that it looks fairly decent. I'm not into making it absolutely perfect. This is the color I'm going with for the frame. It's just a green spray paint, and then it has it's actually a glitter spray paint on top of that, and it creates this really, really cool kind of almost metallic flake color. I'm gonna get that across the whole frame, and then all the other pieces on it are gonna be black. That way the frame kind of pops out from the black all around it. So these are the two paints I'm gonna be using. Just rattle canning it. This is just the Rust-Oleum, and then I have the Rust-Oleum glitter paint here, and I'm just using this to kind of just mist over the top of the whole bike. That way I get that really cool metallic flake look. It's kind of hard to see in here, but you can see the little flakes on there. Now it's a kind of matte color right now. It's not super shiny yet, and that's because this will get a clear coat as well, and it's gonna lock in all the little flakes that I put on there. I'm just gonna be using the Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. Start out doing tires on this bike. Here are my 2 rims, and these are the 2 tires that I'm going to be keeping. I just found these in a pile I had. They're not great, but they're definitely in better shape than these two. The rims are correct sizes. This is a 21-inch rim in the front. This is a 21-inch tire. It's a little wider and taller, but I think I should have enough room in between my two forks. So I'm okay with that. And the same on this back tire here. It's the same rim size, it's just a little wider and a little taller. Both the tires did end up fitting really good. They're not all the way on yet, and that's because I do not have a inner tube yet for these things. I'm gonna buy the inner tubes today. Hopefully they get here by the end of the week. Meanwhile, I'm gonna work on the bike a little more. I think I'm gonna move on to the gas tank, getting that prepped for paint. It's gonna need a little bit of body work. It has a few dents, little dings in it that I'd like to smooth out and make it look nice again. There's no fuel in it anymore. So now I'm just going to take the sticker off, sand this smooth. This part here I'm going to sand down to the metal, and I think there's one more dent. Yeah, there's a little dent there. I'll leave that dent. That's not big enough for me to worry about, I don't think. The bottom half here I'll just sand off, clean up. The gas tank is going to be black with a green Honda, and then I'll also paint the gas cap green. That way that kind of sets off too from the black tank. My fender and my gas tank all sanded down. Now I'm going to clean them off with some simple green, and then I'm going to paint them both black. Now I'm going to do a little bit of work on the seat here and try and get this re-vinyled. I've taken off the rear shocks. I'm going to sand them up, get them ready to be painted, and I'm going to paint the shock different from the spring. And you can take them apart really easy just by pulling the spring down, taking the retaining ring off, and then it comes apart. So this is going to be green here, and then the spring will be black. My shocks all painted up. Now I'm just going to put them all back together and chuck them on the bike. I found an image of the Honda logo and just traced it out, then cut it into a stencil. I lay down some blue masking tape on the gas tank itself. Then I tape my stencil onto the gas tank and trace onto the tape, and then cut out the tape with an X-Acto knife. Finished the painting on my tank. It just has the clear coat on top, and you can see just from this alone that it's not a perfectly smooth surface. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but I'm okay with it. I also have a couple little blemishes on this side right here and right here, where I had a little bit of trouble with the clear coat, but other than that, it turned out really good. I'm gonna build the battery tray now. I want it to be fairly light, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. So I think I'm gonna build it out of sheet metal and rivet it together. Now that I got my battery tray built, I'm just gonna take and paint it up real quick, and then it's gonna bolt right in here. Because there are a lot of little rivets in the battery tray, I'm going to take an inner tube, cut out a little section of it, and put it around the battery. That way I can protect the battery just a little bit more. The battery tray is going to mount in just like that. Uh-oh.
It didn't dawn on you that it won't fit like that?
I have the battery in. I ended up using some inner tube from a bike to go around this strap here. That way everything just has a little bit of a rubber cushion around it. Now I'm going to put my carburetor back in, and then I will do the wiring. Now going to install the wiring harness that I just finished putting together. It's not incredibly beautiful, but I think I have all the components that I need. I got the electrical all buttoned up. It's functioning. I hope the run switch is working, but I'm not positive on that. I'm gonna need to get the gas tank back on and get fuel running to it before I can really test it. These are the last few little parts that need to be painted. Just brake lever. This is the chain tensioner, some switches, the mounts for the 2 handlebars such as brake and clutch. Everything on this I'm gonna paint black. So I'm just gonna start cleaning those up and get them painted. I think I'm going to put together the handlebars, get all that hardware back on, and I have some brand new grips that I'm going to be putting on as well. Alright, got the inner tubes for the tires. Gonna put these in, and then we'll put them back on the bike. To finish off the final assembly, all I have to do is put the gas tank and the seat back on. I thought I would go over how much it cost me total to do all this. It only cost me $60 to buy the dirt bike in its broken down state. I had brake cables, grips, battery, vinyl for the seat didn't cost me anything because I actually already had it. The metal I used in both the battery tray and the engine mount I had lying around also, so that didn't cost me anything. The carburetor rebuild, I ended up being able to clean that out, and the gaskets were good enough to put back together, so I didn't actually have to buy the kit for that. All the paint together only cost me $25. Cost me $50 for the inner tubes, little $10 air filter. I didn't have to buy the tires because I had an older set that were okay still that I was able to throw on there. Cost me $213 to do everything, from buying the bike to the last part. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. A new video comes out every Friday, so be sure to like and subscribe for that.